Oh, dude, I freaking love this music, man.
Thank you. Thank
S-
you.
So good. I'm rolling. I'm ready when you are.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Hey, where are you based out of, Reggie?
I'm in Indianapolis.
Oh, nice, man.
I'm about to
Nice.
throw you a curveball, though.
Okay.
I think you guys are playing a show in Burlington, Iowa tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
from Mount Pleasant, Iowa, which is 20 minutes on the other side of Burlington, Iowa.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
So I
crazy.
know exactly where you're going tomorrow.
Yeah, man. We were just in Indy about a month ago at Irving Theater. Um,
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll be back, I think, in October.
I
Um,
have to check it out, man.
yeah.
I have to
Awesome,
check
Reggie.
it out. Dude.
Right.
Oh my God. This Praise the Loud. Like first off, that album title kicks ass. And
Thanks, man.
then you hear the music. And man, the title track video has over 1 million views. True that video, that's gonna hit 1 million. It's almost up 300,000 already, man. I feel like this record feels bigger and more important than records in the past. And I feel like this just it's a big album. It just feels, you can just feel something with a record. You can feel something with this one, man. Do you feel the same way?
Um, Yes, and being my own worst critic and hating everything that I do because I'm a perfectionist, I just do feel there's a weight to this album,
Yeah.
a sort of an importance somehow.
Hmm.
Um, and
That's a good word for it.
yeah, and the weird thing is, like, the album has been done for a little while, a few months, and you got to do videos. And, I've been so anxious for it to get out there, and it's like finally it's dripping out and, song by song, but yeah, I can't wait for everybody to hear the whole album and to
Hmm.
see what journey this takes.
Yeah. Obviously, the songs that the public has heard so far are amazing, but the song that really stands out to me is Inside Out. Um,
Okay.
yes, my daughter had dental surgery this morning, and I was on my way down to the dentist's office to meet her and her mom. And I was just driving down the interstate with Inside Out, windows down, that just blasting, just felt good. That song, man, that song is special.
Well, I'm so glad you say that because that's the one that I picked. That I felt there was just something unique about that song,
Mhm.
and nobody else felt that way. um, but I mean, they liked it, and you know, um, we tried to make an album that was deep from front to back, like that. We made sure that if a song wasn't up to par, we'd do another one, and um, until we felt like we had 12 really strong ones. But I'm glad you say that because I've been in the corner waving the Inside Out flag, the lone champion of that song, and but I'm like, well, when it gets out there, people will hear it, and everybody has their favorites. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But I'm glad that one resonated.
it just does. And I don't know what it is, but a lot of it is your vocals. You've got that bluesy, raspy vocal style. Um, what was it about that vocal style that resonated with you so much? Was it just naturally what came out when you sat down and started like really honing your craft, or just it's so good.
I was like, look, the first album I really got into was AC/DC Back in Black when I was 10 years old. Like,
Yeah.
and Rod Stewart. And, so I mean, that to me was singing. And then I love, my mom listened to a lot of R&B, like
Hmm.
Sam Cooke and Wilson Pickett and Otis
Oh
Redding.
yeah.
And, so I really love that style of singing, even if it wasn't in a rock vein, but more R&B. Um, and, yeah, and it's funny. I took vocal lessons to understand my instrument, and my teacher was like, "This is just the way your voice sounds. Like your
Mm.
vocal cords have this distortion on them when you sing. It's not like I'm not trying to sing that way. And people are like, "Wow, how do you sing? The next day or talk?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not singing that loud, actually." know, it appears that way, but it's just I've got a little distortion built in this voice box of mine. And but and that's the singing that really speaks to me too, you know, that style. It's um yeah, it's not something that I've really decided I really want to sing like Ray
Right.
Charles, you know, or whatever. It's been just this is sort of how I do it, you know.
Right. And one thing I love about blues is I feel like blues is the most honest style of music that there is. Um, there's just something about it, especially with your lyrics. It's very honest. You're telling a story with every single song. And I can feel where you're coming from when you're singing these songs and singing these lyrics and not where you were when you wrote the songs, but you can feel it. What was it about blues that drew you to it so much? Because I know you said a lot of those artists you grew up on. What was it that drew you so much when you sat down and started thinking about doing your own musical career?
Uh, so I started off as a rock fan, hard rock fan, and I love hard rock. I love it. I mean, I still love it to this day. You know, I'm excited our album is dropping the same day as the Ghost album. You know, like you know. So that being said, I like different things. I see a lot of the same things in BB King and hear a lot of the same things that I do in Ronnie James Dio. Like
Mhm.
even though Dio sang about dragons and rainbows, and he to me had a lot of integrity in it, and he really believed it. And I feel that about BB King. The thing I like about blues is that there's no pretense. It's honest. It's every man and woman's life story. You know, it's the facts of life. It's there's a lot of truth in it. Um, and that truth is real cutting. You know, even if you dress it up with a bunch of production or you know put some glitz with it, still the truth cuts to the bone, and I love that. I love that raw honesty, and that's always been something the realness
Mhm.
of the music. But at the same time, I love somebody like David Bowie, who's a space alien. You know what I mean? Like you know, but there's something that is so relatable to me personally. You know, I could never. I won't say never, but it would. You know, I watch interviews with Tobias from Ghost, let's say, and he's like he has to dress up because he's not comfortable in his own skin. Well, I wouldn't necessarily be comfortable doing what he's doing. I just want to
Right.
be 100% in the moment who I am and sharing something that we all can relate to, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so I think that that's a very long answer to your question.
That's okay. That's what we're here for, is
Yeah, yeah,
the truth.
yeah,
What you just talked about, I feel that a lot in a song like Meet My Maker. That song is really cool. It's very different from the rest of the record. Can you talk to me a little bit about that song and what makes that song special to you?
yeah. You know, that is a special song on the album, and I sort of, you know, I was trying to channel Black Sabbath and Fleetwood Mac, and I wanted something that was a little eerie and so the intro, you know, it doesn't sound like Black Sabbath and it doesn't sound like Fleetwood Mac, but I was trying to go, you know, get the idea of the chain from Fleetwood Mac meets, you know, the title track from Black Sabbath's debut, you know, something that was a little haunting.
Hmm.
And it's really, without giving away everything about the song,
Yeah.
it is different in the way that it's a song about death
Hmm.
and our own mortality and how that messes with all of our brains. You know, what we do, you know, what we wonder the afterlife is going to be. What does that mean for our time here? Um, what should we do while we're here? You know, and um, sometimes it's always in the back of our minds, our mortality, you know. And I wanted to write a song about meeting death without fear and on your own terms. Um, and Um, almost when the Grim Reaper knocks at your door, you're like, okay, let's go. Um, which is something that I can aspire to. I can't say that I'm there yet, but I wanted to write a song like that, that showed no fear,
Hmm.
of what lies beyond.
Yeah. And I feel like when there's a subject matter that heavy and like that serious and that deep, it almost has to be approached and done a certain way. Because if it's not done well, it's really bad and it just
Yeah,
doesn't resonate. Did that song take more time than the others to really put out? Did you when you're doing that subject matter, did you feel like you needed to put more into it to make sure it came out perfect? Or
yeah,
I've also heard you say like the great ones come quick. Did that one come
yeah.
quick?
Well, interesting. So that one took a journey. First of all, that song stands out because you don't want 12 songs on a record that are, you know, about death, right? It's like that's a little much. Um, but yeah, I thought the song sucked. Like at first, I was like, "This song sucks. I'm not feeling it." And we put it away for a few months, and then my manager said, "Hey, you should re-listen to this song." And I said, "Hey, it's not so bad."
Right.
And then we tweaked it a little bit, and then I really liked it. But yeah, sometimes how you hear a song in your head, it's not always how it comes out, but that's not a bad thing. Um, and But yeah, I feel like that one is a special song on the record. It's
Hmm.
something that um, they all have their different place. That's more like a statement piece,
Yeah.
and an epic um, journey, where a lot of our songs are more fist in the air anthems of you know
Yeah.
uh, um, love and acceptance and rock and roll.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, like Electric Blues Crusade. Like
yes.
that is just I have to be careful with I have to watch like how fast I'm driving when that song comes on because like it's very easy for me to go like 80, 90 down
Right,
like it's
yeah, I mean, we're not responsible for your speeding tickets. Sorry. No, man. Well, thank you for that. That's an interesting one. That one is the exact opposite of
Mhm.
The Good Ones Come Quick.
Hmm.
That song is about 18 years old,
Wow.
and the lyrics and the general idea. And I kept revisiting it, and it just never worked. It never worked. And then I had this riff, and I heard the riff, and I said, "Oh my gosh, that's electric blues. That's the riff I've been waiting for 18 years."
My God.
And most of the other songs were fairly new,
Hmm.
but that was one that was like, oh, whoa, it's like having a cool pair of pants, but you don't have the right shirt for it. And then
Right.
18 years later, you're at TJ Maxx and you find the shirt, and there you go.
That's awesome. I've heard a lot of the great guitarists over the decades talk about th how there's a relationship between the guitar and the guitarist. Um, can you tell me a little bit about what your relationship is with the guitar and how the two of you come together when it comes time to sit down and play? Because I feel like that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but it also gets
Yeah,
talked about.
it's an interesting question, and one I've never been asked. So thank you. Um, I think I look at it in a couple of different ways. It's the most honest relationship,
Hmm.
because exactly what you put in is what you get out. So if you practice for 3 hours, you get 3 hours of love back from your guitar. Like,
Right.
you're able to express yourself. And that's very apparent, especially in the beginning as you're learning. You know, um, uh, I used to teach guitar when I started out, and people were like, how long do I need to practice? That was one question every student would ask. And I'm like, how good do you want to be?
Hmm.
Do you want to be half an hour a day good on your guitar, or half an hour a week good on your guitar, or do you want to
Hmm.
be 5 hours a week? Like, because it's an honest relationship.
Yeah.
I think as you become as you go down the road in your relationship and you've been playing several years, it's just like any other relationship. You got to find things to keep the spark alive. Um, and I notice guitar players will do that. They'll get new gear. Oh yeah, I'm trying this new pedal. I'm trying this new amp. To me, they sound exactly the same as they did with their older gear, right? But for them, it's keeping it's a slight difference that
Hmm.
they can really feel when they're playing. But um, that new gear, that new amp, it keeps things alive. Um, and then there's times where you're just you fall back in love with it. And it's so easy, and um, you know, I like to go back to like my teen years of when I was first learning, and I'll go through these old guitar magazines and I'll listen to stuff that I listened to when I was 15, and mentally takes me back to that place of when I fell in love with the guitar.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's any different than a couple. Um, there's sometimes you got to, good communication with your guitar is key. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I think that ultimately a guitar is an expression of oneself, of your true essence. So I think that the more honest you are with yourself, and I think the better person you can try to be, I think the more beautiful your playing will become.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's a really cool relationship. At the end, the place I'm at now, I realize that it's really my spirit, my hands, and my love of the particular instrument, um, and trying to just be emotion in the moment emotionally to capture
Hmm.
what I'm feeling and express it on the guitar. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I work in off the side, I work in pro wrestling. We tell our trainees the same thing. They ask the same question. Well, how long do I need to do I do this until I'm ready and I'm good? And we say the same thing.
right.
As long as you want to take and as long as we feel like it takes for you to be ready, because you're gonna get what you put into it. And
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
so yeah, it's art.
Yeah,
It's art. And there's guitarists and then there's great guitarist. And I feel like when I'm listening to you play, it's almost like the guitar is its own person sometimes, you know?
yeah. That's an interesting way. I've always tried to approach my guitar like it was an extension of my voice. So
Yes.
it's two sides of the same coin. Um, and good great bands like Van Halen had that. David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen, or Sammy and Ed. They worked together. In such a unique way. Um, but BB King to me was a great example of singing and playing, and his guitar was an extension of when he wasn't singing. And I've tried to approach my guitar in that way as well.
Yeah. One thing I love about some of the songs on the record is the background vocals with the rest of the band, especially on Praise the Loud and True That. Just like it's almost like choir like to a degree.
Yes.
You guys take us to church on this album in so
Yeah.
many ways, man. Um, was that natural or is that something you set out to do?
I'm a huge gospel fan. I love
Okay.
gospel music. And to me, the gospel and the blues I see them as very united.
Hmm.
And I wanted some of my early records. I even would do a couple of gospel influenced songs. Um, and as my career went along, that sort of became less of part of it. On this album, I wanted to show in some ways or demonstrate my love of gospel music. Um, and in the title of Praise the Loud,
Yes.
uh, it's got some gospel that's straight out of a praise, praise. I could hear like
Yes.
Mississippi Mass Choir do something like that. So I was like, oh, this is going to mess stuff up. We're going to throw in some heavy metal, some blues, and some Mississippi Mass Choir in here. Um, but I wanted to represent that, and I felt the best way to do that was in a sort of the vocal.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I grew up in the church, man, all the way through college, and I remember I was at the gym a few weeks ago, and I hit up Kevin. I was like, "Who do you have doing interviews right now?" And he sent me, "You're one of them." He's like, "Check this out." And I listened to Praise the Loud, watched the video, and I'm like, my exact words were, "Holy shit, I'm in. Let's
Right.
do this." You know,
Yes, brother. Yes.
I'm
Awesome.
hooked. I absolutely love it, and I love how on the record, you've got Praise the Loud and True That, and then you slow it down perfectly with Netflix and Chill, and then bring it back up with Inside Out, slow it back. It's a journey, like you said, it's not just heavy, 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 soft, heavy. It's like you slow it down at the right times, you speed it up at the right moment, and it's perfectly balanced. It's, it's a great album, and I can tell you put a lot of work and thought into the flow of the record and the feel and the vibe, and man, it pays off.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. What a compliment. Yeah, Reggie, we wanted to take people on a journey. I'm fans of 70s and 80s when bands did that, when albums
Hmm.
meant something and that journey on an album. And we tried
Yeah,
to do that as best we could with it. So, um, yeah, I'm grateful that you feel that way.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, dude, this is just it's rock and roll, blues rock and roll to its core. Um, when you sit down and look at the final product, it's all said and done. It comes out April 25th. Um, when you sit down and look at what this record is and you listen to it all the way through, what does it mean to you as one of the ones that breathed the most life into this music?
This album to me is like, I've sort of thought about it, and it's like my love letter to blues and rock and roll. And I'll expand on that just for a second, meaning
Yeah.
that I've been doing this for 25 years. Right? The first 23, Reggie, were lean. They were tough. We would play at Indianapolis and there would be 70 people at the Slippery Noodle. We'd come back a year later, there'd be 71 people at the Slippery Noodle. We'd come back a year after that, there'd be 69 people in the Slippery Noodle. And we'd always be around 70 people that would come to all of our shows
Hmm.
every once a year across America. And you can't make a great living with 70 people. But
Right.
what you can do is keep gas in the tank, keep lights on at your place at home,
Hmm.
and live to fight another day. And our fans, these 70 people, gave us the license to dream.
Hmm.
Now, in the last 2 years, we did an album before called High Voltage Blues, which started this journey.
Hmm.
And on that album, I decided, I'm going to be myself 100%. Not that I was disingenuous, but I'm going to be myself. I love Judas Priest as much as I love John Lee Hooker, and I'm not ashamed about it. I'm
Right.
not going to I'm not going to downplay the rock side or downplay the blues side. And all of a sudden, people resonated with that. You know, the weird thing was the industry didn't know where to put us.
Hmm.
Well, you're not metal and you're not blues, and we sort of had this little middle lane.
Hmm.
But the fans loved it, and the fans started to get it. So that gave me courage on this album to say, okay, I'm going to trust in this. I believe in what I'm feeling in my spirit is the right way to go. And I
Right.
think that's in part what makes this album have that weight that we talked about, or this feeling of importance, is that I think it was 25 years in the making. Every rib joint dive bar that I played over 25 years has come together, and maybe I hope in a triumphant way on this
Hmm.
release. And that's something that I really learned from this album, and I feel what its essence is.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, you can tell that you've turned it up with this one. It's funny you mentioned the Slippery Noodle. I think it was Paul Nelson. I
Yes.
saw the Slippery Noodle a couple times. Such a cool place.
Yeah,
Like it's
man.
a really cool place.
Yeah,
Indy
yeah,
is
yeah.
loaded with cool venues, man.
It's a great town. They have new owners, but back in the day, uh, I was responsible. They had rules, do's and don'ts.
Hmm.
I was responsible for rule number 8.
Which one's that?
No encouraging of nudity on stage. Now, I'll tell you what happened. It was race weekend. Okay, do I need to say any more?
Oh no.
We're on stage, and these ladies, everybody's hammered. These ladies are dancing on stage and start disrobing. And,
Well, you gotta let that happen.
I mean, I didn't encourage it though. I
Right.
didn't discourage it,
And
but
that's
in
the
my,
key. You
yes,
didn't, you know,
yeah, in my own, I call it the invisible hand, right? The invisible
right.
hand was saying, okay, thank you for that show, ladies. Thank you. Please get off the stage, you know. And I felt like as best I could, I diffused that situation. But I was not about to go on the microphone and say, this is appalling. You know what I mean? This is a disgrace. You cannot do this. You know, rule number 8 will be you cannot, and but anyway, they felt like, I didn't take it seriously, which I did, but you know, it's kind of a rock show, and stuff is going to happen in a rock show.
It's not the
And
first time that's happened in a rock show.
no, and the inner 14-year-old me that used to watch Motley Crue videos was
Yes.
a little excited. I got to tell you.
Yes.
No,
Exactly.
seriously, look. No, anyway, yes, I know the slippery noodle. We actually got banned from the noodle for about a decade, because of rule number 8. Yeah, but then they came around, and now we're very grateful that we play um, a great room called the Irving Theater. So,
Hmm.
uh, yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll be back in October. The date hasn't been announced yet, but it's
I'll be
secretly
watching.
on the book. So Reggie, we'll have to get you out, brother. Well,
Oh, I'll be watching for that date. I have to be there, man. I have to be there.
awesome.
Just don't force any more rules. And,
No more rules. No more rules. No more rules. There'll be a
uh,
rule 911.
man, um, dude, Anthony, man, thank you so much for doing this today. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I know you're out on the road. You're playing Iowa, my home state, tomorrow.
Yes.
Um, and dude, you got something really, really, really special with this record. Thank you for this music, and thank you for continuing to do what you do on the road because bands don't get thanked enough for what you guys do on the road. Touring is not easy. It's not glamorous. Touring sucks 90% of the time. Um, it
Yes.
just does, you know.
Amen to that. Yes. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
Yep.
Um, but our fans are the best, and they deserve the best we can give them.
Yep.
So we give it 110 every time.
One of my favorite quotes I've heard is, "We don't get paid for playing. We get paid for the travel. The
Yeah.
playing is the easy part." You
Amen.
know?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Reggie, so much for your time. And thank you for doing your research and listening to the album and being so prepared for today.
Oh yeah.
And what a pleasure it is to share our music with you. It's the greatest joy for me to be able to do that. So thank you.
I'm honored to be able to hear it early, to hear it. I've listened probably 10 times through. Not sure if my 13-year-old daughter liked hearing it up loud after she had 4 teeth removed today, but she
Right,
did. And
right.
she's better for it.
She
So,
is. I got you. Well, thank you so much, Reggie. And I look forward to
absolutely.
seeing you in October, man.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Stay safe on the road, man. We'll see you in a couple months. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks so much.